Hello everyone. In this video, we will learn in detail about introducing ourselves during an interview. We will cover the following 4 topics in this video. Why do interviewers ask the question, tell me about yourself? How to answer this question and the formula that you have to follow for answering this question. And finally, we will take a look at some actionable tips for acing the answer to this question. More often than not, most interviews start with the question, tell me about yourself. But before we move ahead and understand how to answer this particular question, we first have to understand why interviewers ask this question. There must be something behind every question, right? So why do interviewers ask the question, tell me about yourself? For this particular question, one of the most important reasons why interviewers ask this is to assess your level of preparedness. This question gives them an idea of how prepared a person is for the interview. Because only a prepared person can give a crisp answer to this question. If you are unprepared, you will either end up stumbling a lot in between, get anxious and tell things you didn't want to, or over-explain everything you have done in your life and make the interviewers vote. The key point is to tell them a brief about yourself in 1 to 3 minutes. In many cases, the interviewers will already have your resume with them. They can simply glance through it to understand your name, your educational background, experiences, hobbies, and everything that's there in your resume. If that's the case, why do they actually want to say it all over in words? That's why we said it's one of the most important reasons behind this question is to assess how prepared you are for answering it. This question in itself is kind of a deal breaker for most interviews. And if you are a person who did not prepare for an interview, they will definitely wonder if that would be the case in your actual work as well. So it's highly important to have a crisp answer to this question ready even before you walk into an interview. At times, the interviewers might not have gone through your resume and they actually want to know a little bit about you. That could be the case too. This question can also help them assess what is important to you in your life. Because if you're talking a lot about your past time hobbies instead of actually telling them your experiences that would make you a great fit for the job, it gives them a feeling that you value other things and your hobbies more than your actual work. So now that we know why interviewers ask this question and how important it is to be ready with an answer, let's see how to answer this question. You must start by telling them your name. You can choose to include your name and home location as well if you wish to do so. For example, a good first sentence would be, "Hi, I'm Peter." You can also choose to add a sentence like, "I am 25 years old and I hail from New York," by adding your age and your location. Once you have told your name, the next step is to give a brief about your past work experience and educational experiences. For example, a good sentence would be, "I am a creative marketing manager specializing in digital marketing with 10 years of experience." You can also choose to talk a sentence about your previous organizations. For example, "I have served Google as a product manager for the past 5 years, looking after the functions of X, Y, and Z." But if you are a fresher without any prior experiences to speak of, you can say something on the lines of, "I'm a hardworking engineering student specializing in microprocessors," or whatever topic that you are actually focusing on. Next comes the achievements part. Here you have to talk about your achievements and give them some proof about the same. A pro tip here is to include some numbers while mentioning your achievements. For example, your achievement could be something like, "I have led the digital transformation journey for my company, and after moving from legacy systems to new technology, I had the opportunity to save $2 million annually for my organization." See how well the number stands out in this case. It also acts as a proof of work well done. And if you are a student, you can say something like, "I'm the winner of XYZ National Hackathon, which saw a participation of 3,000 plus students across the country." Or you can talk about the courses that you have done, like, "I have also completed courses on SQL, Python, and Java from Coursera, and these courses helped me ideate the design for my final year project." And finally, you can briefly tell them about your hobbies and extracurricular activities if you wish to do so. For example, "I have been volunteering with XYZ NGO organization as a dash volunteer for the past 3 years, where I was responsible for teaching mathematics to children from shelter homes." Or something like, "My hobbies include painting, reading mangas, and playing football." So these are the important elements for answering "tell me about yourself." To formalize, you should start by saying your name and details like age, home location, etc. if you prefer to do them. Then you can move on to your work and educational experiences. You can specifically talk a sentence or two about what you did at your previous company or at college. We then move on to the achievement section. You should try to include some numbers and provide a proof for a work well done at your work experience. And in the end, you can talk about your extracurricular activities, hobbies, and so on. So the final formula for answering this question would be: tell me about yourself equal to your name plus educational and work experience plus your achievements plus your hobbies. Now there is an important concept that you should know while introducing yourself. It's called hooks. What it means is that we try to keep some hooks in our introduction. It's something interesting that your interviewers will pick up on and ask you about. For example, if you mention a strange hobby or an excellent achievement you have, the interviewers are more likely to pick up on those after you finish introducing yourself. Here you are actually hooking the interviewer to a topic that you want to talk about. But please keep in mind that you must be prepared for the hook. For example, if you say something like scalping and intraday trading as a hook in your hobbies, you should be well prepared about technical indicators, chart patterns, stock market basics, etc. Apart from these, there are a few more things to consider while answering the question. Actually, these tips are not just for the tell me about yourself question alone. You should follow the below tips for the entire duration of the interview. Firstly, be confident. Sit straight, keep an eye contact, and be fluent. Forget about everything else and be in the interview. Secondly, talk. Obviously, do not talk a lot and make your interviewers bored, but do not just keep silent by answering the questions that you are asked alone. You have to try to build a conversation, because irrespective of whichever role you are applying for, communication skills are highly crucial for getting hired. And finally, be happy and smiling. Give off positive vibes. It might sound silly, but your smile has an incredible impact on you acing the interviews. So let's summarize what we have seen till now. One of the most important reasons why interviewers ask you to introduce yourself is to assess your level of preparedness. Always be prepared for this question and have a crisp 1 to 2 minute answer ready with you. And in the answer, make sure to tell your name, your educational and past work experiences, your achievements, and your hobbies. You can think of keeping some hooks in the answer, but make sure that you are prepared for the hook. And finally, be confident, be happy, sit straight, maintain eye contact, build a conversation, and give positive vibes.